Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Getting Around the Borders, written by Tanya Sapien. "Hey, Rem," Raphael blurted out suddenly, midway through his regular routine of his file transfers. His response came with one squinted eye open. Remedy's eye glowed red and showed her annoyance at her meditation being interrupted. "What is it, Raph?" She shivered slightly at the slight pulse of telepathic anger she accidentally released into the room before quickly containing her emotions, and he responded with a bit of hesitation. "Why are Muturans so interested in humans?" Both eyes opened, every marking on her flickering a mix of emotions, mostly confusion. "Explain?" "Well, ever since the humans joined the Empire, Muturans have had this almost stalker-like obsession with us. I thought it was just like, hey, new DNA, let's catalog it, but it's been 20 years and you still treat us like a fascinating animal at a zoo." She sat, marking shifting color to voice-changing cadence to indicate it was ramification, her symbiont, speaking. "It has nothing demeaning. We wouldn't want you to feel like that. It is perfectly innocent." He gave a non-committal nod, and he finalized the last upload of the survey data from their tiny outpost. That's the same deflection I get every time I ask. What's the reason? You're plugged into the hive mind, right? You'd know. She gave an exasperated sigh. Ears flat, tentacles limp, markings going black. She was doing everything short of telepathically transferring to make sure the human understood the gesture of defeat. "Fine, but only if you tell us what's so funny about our names." "What, Ram and Rem? Okay, sure, but you first." "It is your genetics. You weren't wrong there, but it's more than that. We've spent several hundred cycles, several generations, genetically engineering perfection. Your kind stumbled into it." Another shift, another comment from ramification. "We started as Arakan. You call them chimeras. It was an unending dedication of Mother Lazenza and countless scientists that let us break free of being parasites and be something so grand people consider themselves privileged to have us." Another shift back to Remedy. "And, well, then here come the super space monkeys. Every bit as durable, every bit as resistant to psionic attack, every bit as strong and bone-dense. Yet your leaders insist touching your own genome is a horrible taboo you'd never commit and is 100% natural. You're an enigma of evolution and primal selection." He gave a solemn nod, leaning against the shelf with a, "So, what's so funny about our names? Do you know what an anime is? No. It's a type of entertainment media. Your names, your colors, even the completing each other's sentences and always referring to yourself as we, is all dead ringer for two sisters in a really popular anime back home. At our awakening ceremony, we asked to be named instead of choosing our own names. Our sire host was a human before she joined the collective. Do you think they knew? Possibly. The show was still kind of niche and it..." His sentence was cut off short by a beeping alert. One of the weather stations was malfunctioning. Trappist H, a barren world still in the early stages of terraforming. He was about to remote boot it, but then he recognized a pattern in the cycling power states. Remedy jumped up to her feet in response to the surge of urgency and panic he was flooding with the room. Rare for human interactions, she was able to actually see his mental reference for the thing that he suddenly was looking for. With some quick shuffling through drawers, they found it, a Morse code reading sheet. He backed the sensor logs up and the beginning of the malfunction and began to transcribe. "SOS, SOS, Kleiner's wild ride crashed. SOS, SOS, Trappist 1H12, survivors SSW of Xmet origin. SOS, SOS. Save them first, oxygen almost out. SOS, SOS. H. Jonah co-fingers numb body beside me. We are at Xmet origins. SOS, SOS. Xmet eyes fading, leave a nice plaque for me. SOS, SOS." Remedy had to steady herself against the flood of emotions pouring off Raphael. As he was still transcribing the message, she was already falling back on the training and looking up the registrar. "Kleiner's Wild Ride, a civilian industrial multi-role manifest, says 63 people on board. Last check-in was system arrival 4 days ago. She was due for a gravity assist around H to slow down for landing at G. She's 2 days late for check-in." He gave a rapid, firm nod in response, hardly making a sound beyond the confirmatory grunt as he had already typed away at the terminal. After a few moments, a window on one of the 3 secret screens displayed a magnetometric and thermal anomaly on the weather station data. He grabbed the radio transmitter and began dialing it to emergency band, but she grabbed his hand to stop him. He gave her a stern and confused look, but she quickly explained, "If they're on H, they're on a clock. We need something faster than border guard. What was that thing humans do in Terran space, the GDMS or whatever?" "GMDSS, that's radio protocol, but it only works because we have laws that back it up. Every ship is required to respond to a distress call with all haste." She flicked over to the ramification. "There are Terran ships in the system, Raf." She changed the dialing address and smiling, Yanesh's face appeared. The camera angle from the handheld device. "Hey R&R, hey Raf, what are you 3 up to? I know that look. What's going on? Hey Sonny, do you still have that access to the deep field array from the Platte Bunny outpost?" He gave a very skeptical yes and confirmed. "We just got a distress call and we can't wait on normal bureaucracy. Can you get us a system-wide broadcast?" "Oh, I had a lot of heat from the upper management. How urgent is it?" "5 known survivors of a ship crash. They're on Trap H, and the distress call sounds like they don't have any life support." "Strike me from the library. All right. Yeah, just give me a couple moments." The screen jostled aggressively for a few minutes as he tapped away at the device. "Okay, you're routed through. Next transmission out of Outpost H should be heard through the whole system." She smiled and quickly replied, "You owe me $1 million, Asani." "If I get fired over this, you definitely will." Raphael opened the channel and began to broadcast. "Mayday, mayday, mayday. Calling all ships in system. This is not a test. Special accident. Trappist 1H coordinates 12.174 north by 76.572 west. Kleiner's Wild Pride downed on surface with all hands aboard. 12 survivors relieved at this time. 2 possible survivors at coordinates 12.198 north by 76.561 west. Any available ships, please respond." There was a tense silence as Remedy was actively distracting her senses so she wouldn't get sucked into the maelstrom of emotions he was feeling. She'd been warned many times never to enter the mind of a human whose reading Muterans can and will get pulled in and unable to leave. The tense and solemn silence was broken by a hail on military band, open channel. They frantically hammered the receive button and a human face appeared. "This is the Imperial Navy frigate Dashing Cardigan. Can you confirm the status of priority passenger Hijona Everdorn?" He swallowed hard and Remedy's defenses buckled as she felt herself being drawn into his own emotional state from the sudden surge as he responded. "The distress call mentioned in Hijona as one of the 2 of the second set of coordinates. She's exposed to the elements right now." The human was suddenly shoved out of frame and he was staring at, of all people, a light Karen princess, Harriet Fairweather. "Lady Hijona is out there freezing to death." He was slightly shocked at the development, but quickly confirmed nonetheless. "Yes, at coordinates 12.198 north by 76.561 west." She turned away from the camera, apparently no longer caring about the call as she barked a series of orders to the bridge crew and then came back to the screen. The channel between the 2 was closed, but then an incoming signal came through the emergency band they were originally going to use for alerting border guard. The princess speaking with urgency in her tone. "Priority alert to any military, border guard, or civilian legal enforcement vessels in orbit on Trappist 1H. You are hereby under royal decree. Assist with Kleiner's Wild Ride. Accident response with all haste. Priority passenger Hijona Everdorn is present at second set of coordinates in previous broadcast. Verify life signs and relay a Dashing Cardigan to nearest opportunity that does not endanger rescue operations of remaining survivors." Remedy heard none of this. She had blacked out as she was being thrown through a series of mental hellscapes. Raphael's imagination reading through all possible nasty things that survivors could be going through. The only coherent thought she could muster was the pain attitude was real. This is what it felt like when a human was having an allergic reaction to empathetic pain. But then suddenly, the storm fell dead silent and still. There was a sudden flood of relief like she'd never felt before, and a grim hope that spoke of something deep and primal, something her people had lost in their centuries of gene splicing. She found herself in a stable dreamscape, a frigid tundra. The cold was biting but not painful, and Raphael was standing beside her, looking out over several Imperial Navy ships suspended in the sky over a wrecked ship. Environment domes deployed around it, survivors being escorted to landing craft. the last of which was the princess beside another like Karen on a stretcher, holding her hand out and talking to her. Raphael was smiling at his side before he turning to face with the sudden shock at the sight of two Vulpins. "You're inside my daydream. I thought that you were afraid to enter human mind. We got pulled in. Your emotions were too strong." He just laughed a bit, then looked beside her, seeing a face that he'd never seen before. "Well, it's an honor to see you here, Rem, and Ram. Glad to finally see your face. You look good." Remedy squinted at him, ears flat. "You just," and it's in the flavor of full Navy response. "A faster and more competent rescue doesn't exist. This is nice. We should talk like this more often." Remedy squinted at him, ears flat. "You just let us into your realm like that. We thought humans valued their pride." She recognized the emotion immediately and silenced it. "Oh dear. Lizana, you love us." He hesitated. Right. Kinda hard to keep that hidden anymore when you're inside, huh?" Ramification just laughed heartily and began the careful process of untangling their minds from each other, as Remedy sheepishly responded. "Okay, when we all wake up, we can address that. I'm not saying I reject that love, it's just caught me off guard. Oh, I can wake you up if you want." Ramification looked over to the swirling thought form that she was untangling. "You could what?" "I'm awake right now. In fact, I stepped out of the radio shack for a cup of cocoa and calm my nerves. You want me to bring you one as well when I come back?" Both of them stood in stark shock, responding in unison, as silent, maintaining a stable realm while wide awake. Remedy began interrogating in earnest. "What mental conditioning do you have? Where do you hide your meditation hours? How long have you trained this ability?" He just shrugged. "I daydream a lot. Lots of humans do it. It's kind of a hobby." The realization dawned on her. This was the true weight of a human's mind, the thing Adamant's address to the collector was about. They were silent, but they were silent with the speaker's imagination. They were both like telepaths, just without the ability to transmit or link their realms to each other. She felt the connection suddenly falter, and then a moment later she was awake, Raphael shaking her shoulder a bit, holding up a cup of hot cocoa in front of her. As he sat back down, he asked, "So can we address why your mental projection was wearing a maid dress?" Her markings flushed a vivid indigo, almost turning ultraviolet in her embarrassment. "Your realm must have assigned us an outfit based on your expectations." He looked off to the side sheepishly. "Right. Well, Ram and Rem from that TV show, they always wore maid dresses, so I always kind of pictured the mental image of you two would be, you know? Please avoid altering our avatars in the future. That being said, before the sudden chaos happened, we were discussing our sire. They were a human before they joined the collective. One of the first, actually. Do you think that they'd chosen names on purpose?" He shrugged. "Probably. Look, I don't make the memes. I just work here." After that, he seemed suddenly distant, and with some slight hesitation, she restored the connection to his dreamscape. They were back on the surface of Trappist H, and he was watching the rescue operation playing on a loop. She came over to him and held his hand tightly, smiling warmly as she saw his physical hand close slightly in response to holding his hand inside the dreamscape. "It's not just pain that loops in human minds, is it?" "No, everything loops. We masters of getting stuck in things. We'll play sometimes a dozen times before we finally had enough and move on." That was genuine fear in the princess's fate. She knows Hejona personally. That's a friend down on the surface. When you're a royal of a stellar empire, you probably think nothing can touch you. You get used to having things your way. Can't imagine what she's feeling right now. She held his hand tighter, taking his physical hand in hers as well. "Then don't. We'll just stay here in this moment as long as you need. Hope is a good feeling. We don't mind sharing it with a good friend." He smirked. "Just friends. We'll have to consult the tenants to see what the policy is on dating a human. And if they say it's forbidden," Ramification responded abruptly, "in the words of your people, fuck 'em." End of story. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Caspar Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.